Spotlight, Cooking Up Independence, Brava's accessible smart oven. Speakers, Travis Ray, VP of Sales and Marketing with Brava, Zach Selman, Product Manager with Brava, and Sam Seavey, Content Creator for The Blind Life.
Hello, my name is Travis Ray, and I am the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Brava. I want to thank the Vista Center for inviting us here today to showcase some of the most exciting advancements in assistive cooking technology that have come about in years. Before we begin, I'd like to share a little bit about my background. I actually started my career over 20 years ago in cooking and fine dining. And then I transferred over to doing a number of different projects, from Williams-Sonoma to a few other different companies doing food product development. So my whole career has been spent around helping people cook, and specifically to help them cook at home. And I joined Brava back in 2017, back when we were building the product. Brava at the core is a smart oven that has some very unique technology behind it that allows it to do things that other ovens can't do. And so we set out on this mission back in 2017 to help people cook at home with more ease and more convenience than ever before. And it turned out that a lot of the things that we had built into the oven from the very beginning turned out to have an elevated level of importance for people with disabilities. And so we've spent the last couple of years making Brava accessible, more accessible for people with disabilities. And specifically, recently, we made it accessible for people that are blind and visually impaired. So I'd like to introduce our speakers for this spotlight session today. We have Zach Selman from Brava, who's the head of product, and we also have Sam Seavey from The Blind Life. And they're going to take you through what Brava is, how it works, and then really dive into some of the assistive technology features that we've developed. Zach, you want to take it away?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Travis. And thank you, Sam, for being here. So quickly, I just want to kind of go through what Brava is. So Brava is a smart oven. So it's a countertop oven. It's kind of about the size of a toaster oven. A lot of people say it looks like a desktop printer. But what's cool about it is that it's really an automated cooking solution. So it kind of cooks for you. We say it's kind of what Waymo or self-driving cars have done, but for the kitchen. The way that it works is really interesting. Most ovens, you're using heating elements to kind of charge the entire chamber with a fixed, consistent temperature range. Brava actually cooks with these very special lamps. So it cooks with light. And there's 3 lamps that are go along the bottom of it and 3 lamps along the top. And they have these special reflectors that focus all of the energy. Instead of going into the entire chamber, it focuses the energy like a spotlight or kind of like a magnifying glass. So it's all getting focused directly into the food. And from a cooking standpoint, the benefit that gets us is, one, it gets us a safer access to a lot more cooking power. Traditional ovens usually top out around 500 degrees, and we can cook at about 900 degrees. So things you can't normally cook in an oven, like getting a hard sear on a steak, things you'd normally do on a stovetop or a grill, we have that level of power. It reaches that level of power in just under a second, so there's no preheating time. And also, because we're not heating the whole chamber, when we cut the lamps, it stops cooking, so you don't have to rush to get the food out. The last kind of cool thing about it is that because we have the 3 lamps on top and bottom, they create these 3 independent cooking zones. So what you see in this here is we've got these special trays that go into the oven and correspond to the 3 lamps, and we can cook in those 3 zones independently. So you can put chicken breasts in the middle zone, you can put potatoes in the top zone and broccoli in the bottom zone. And the lamps will coordinate so that they pulse and cook each zone independently, coordinated so that it all comes out at the same time. So it'll start by hitting the top of the chicken really hard to sear it, and then the bottom, and then it'll back off while it's resting to temp. It'll start roasting the potatoes. And that is all driven by software. So we've got 9,000 recipes that Travis and our chef team have built out. it handles all of the cooking and sets it up perfectly for you. Some cool cooking benefits of it is that in addition to the no preheat, it cooks really fast. Because we can pulse the lamps, we can keep very fine control over the surface temperature to get just the right amount of roasting without overcooking it. And that lets us cook really fast. And to give you kind of just a rough sense of what the cooking experience is like with those 9,000 recipes, basically you'll search and find what you want to cook. Say you want to make a filet mignon, it'll ask you what size the steak is, if you like it medium rare or medium well. And based on the selections that you make, it walks you through how you assemble it onto our tray, and then you press a button, it cooks it for you, you get a notification when it's done. So kind of how we got here, as Travis mentioned, we started off just trying to make cooking faster, easier for everyone. And then a handful of years later, we started hearing from folks. Kind of originally, we started hearing from a bunch of folks aging in place. We hadn't anticipated the older demographic being super interested in this kind of really high-tech cooking method. But we started, some of our most vocal proponents were kind of older folks and folks trying to age in place. And then a few years ago, we started we started selling a bunch of ovens to an agency out of Massachusetts. And traditionally, we've been only direct to consumer. We weren't selling a lot of B2B. And so we reached out, we're like, what's going on here? It turns out that they were an agency helping folks with various developmental disabilities to live independently. And they kind of opened our eyes to the fact that a lot of these features that are great for everybody are more important for people that kind of have some challenges, right? So the fact that it's safe to touch on the outside, that everything's guided, that it can automatically shut off, that for people that have a harder time in the kitchen, it can kind of really improve some of those experiences for them. And because it's driven by software, we can update it and tweak it, make it better. So we started leaning in, trying to learn, all the stuff that we didn't know. And we started going to various kind of conferences and trying to talk to people. And a couple years ago, we went to our first ATIA. And while presenting there, that's where we started hearing that the touchscreen, which is how you traditionally control the oven, was the least accessible part of the oven experience. At that ATIA, I can't remember if that's where I first met you, Sam, but that's where I first saw a screen reader and how that worked. And so we met folks like Sam. We talked to people, kind of explained how that would work, and kind of started trying to get a wish list of what we could build out. And then we spent basically an entire year. We had to rebuild our entire back end so that you could control everything about the oven using the app. And then once we had that set up, then we started working with folks like Sam and with the Lighthouse in San Francisco to rework our app so that it works cleanly with screen readers, with voiceover and talkback. And we launched that. When was that, Travis? Right at the very end of last year. Yeah, it's been cool. We got one to Sam as quick as possible, and Sam was great. He pointed out a bunch of problems with it right away.
Let's introduce Sam so that the audience knows sort of how we got together and what Sam does.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, first of all, thanks guys for having me. I truly appreciate it. I'm excited to see you guys again. Like you said, I keep seeing you at conferences all the time, which I really appreciate. But I'm excited to talk about Brava. So anybody out there doesn't know who I am, I'm an assistive technology specialist. And for the last 13 years, which is kind of crazy to think about, I've had a YouTube channel called The Blind Life, where I review accessible products and adaptive equipment, accessible software, all of that, basically everything having to do with low vision. And that attending all these conferences is, like Zach said, that's the first time I ran across you guys, and I was impressed right away. Not only, we're going to talk about the device itself, but I was impressed right at the beginning of your dedication to making your product accessible for us. A lot of companies want to make things accessible, and they kind of go just far enough to check the box. All right, we've did it. But you guys have really gone above and beyond, and I truly appreciate that. And I thank you from our community. I just want to make sure to let you guys know that I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We try. I mean, it's hard, right? Because there's still so many things that I want to make better, right? And there's so many things that I know are still not there yet. And that's where working with folks like you and hearing from the community is so helpful, right? Because there's so many things you don't know until somebody points them out, right? And that kind of collaboration has been so important for us to try to keep making things better.
What were some of the biggest challenges that you had in the development of the screen reader software?
So, I mean, I think there's the first and foremost, right? And the problem that I run into when I first tried to learn, right? There's a lot of resources out there for traditional user experience design and trying to simplify things. There's less of that for screen reader support, and a lot of things is just around getting bare bones, like, is the content there, and not about streamlining workflows. For something like this oven, we want people cooking with it multiple times a day, and so I don't. You want to reduce the number of interactions and clicks so that the time to open the app and cook your egg for breakfast isn't overwhelming. But at the same time, it just like any UI, it needs to be easily understandable for people their first time, as well as for people that are doing it for the 100th time. And there's not as many resources or kind of best practices out there as there should be. I don't know if you have things to add to that, Sam, but that was kind of my experience, especially starting off, and it was invaluable being able to talk to people that have those experiences and kind of have run through those problems themselves.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine how difficult it was. As you said, coming from a place of not knowing anything about screen readers, barely knowing anything about our community to begin with, having to kind of jump feet first and dive all in and figure it all out as quickly as you can. And you guys did a great job. Even when I first got my hands on it, and as you said, I noticed a couple things within the app that didn't work right. There were a couple of issues with how the app rendered certain things due to some of the accessibility settings I had turned on. And I gave you guys that feedback, and you addressed it very, very quickly. So all in all, I think you did a phenomenal job. And I easily can say that this is by far my most favorite product that I've reviewed this year, 2025, hands down. And I use it all the time. My wife, my family, and I, we love it. It's been fantastic.
Wow,
Can
man.
you describe,
That's
Sam,
awesome to
maybe
hear.
what is it about the Brava? I mean, aside from the screen reader experience, are there other advantages to using it compared to some of the other sort of existing cooking technologies that were out there? Because obviously for the past 13 years since you started your channel, you've been cooking. So what can you describe a little bit about the difference between what it was like before and what it's like now?
Sure. Yeah. And I should also mention that I spent about 15 years working in restaurants. I was a prep chef. So I've got a pretty extensive history of cooking as well. Calling myself a chef, I think, is a bit of a stretch, but you know, so I love cooking. I love baking. I love all of that. And that's one thing I really enjoy about the Brava is, setting aside the accessibility, I'm going to talk about that, but just as a product you use in the kitchen, it really takes the guesswork out of cooking. I mean, it's so easy to use, and the results, you get fantastic results every single time, and the results are repeatable. You know, if I go to make a roast some veggies, for example, traditionally in my oven, you know, it might turn out great the first time, and then the second time, well, maybe I undercooked them a little bit, or maybe I overcooked them, or I didn't season them, you know, the best. But Brava really, because it's very plug and play. It's like I'm following a recipe. I push the button, the machine does everything for me. It knows when to stop cooking. It knows the right temperature for it. So I don't have to deal with any of that. And the speed, it might take me 40 minutes or so to roast veggies traditionally in the oven with the preheat time and everything. And with Brava, it's like 19 minutes and I'm eating my veggies. It's fantastic. But then, throwing in the accessibility to where I can do all of that independently by myself, and I don't have to go get one of my sighted supporters to help me. It's really been a great addition to our kitchen.
Zach, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the safety features that we had built in from the beginning that sort of got us down on this path with that agency in Massachusetts and some of the things that they were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, so from a safety standpoint, I think one is just like if you have a normal toaster oven, if you're cooking at 400, 450, 500 degrees, those are going to get really hot on the outside. And so that was one of the things that we were originally thinking about, for little kids cooking with it and things like that, that we really wanted to make it so that it remains safe to touch on the outside. And because the energy is so focused, it's something that we can do. It'll get warm, but it's never going to burn you. And I think that is a really important one. That, and then the automatic shut off is great. That's one of my favorite features personally, just because you're making dinner at night and then my kids start fighting in the back room, and I've burned things plenty of times. And so being able to rely on that, know that it's going to shut off automatically. Same with the no preheat. There's just some of these little things that until you have it, you don't realize how much additional kind of friction some of those things have in the cooking process. And for me personally, Sam mentioned roasting veggies. Like that's what I do a lot more than before I had it. Right, it's easy to just throw a tray of broccoli in there, and I'm just really, it's one of my favorite kind of features about the Brava, and the combination of the safety and the easy use and the speed. It's just enough of those, it kind of takes a little bit of the edge off of those and makes it more likely that I'm going to do it.
There's other products already that auto shut off, like a microwave, and there's even some ovens that auto shut off. But why is it that Brava's auto shut off is unique relative to a traditional oven and more useful?
Well, if you think about you mentioned the microwave and the oven. In a microwave, when it shuts off, the microwave doesn't stay hot, so you don't have to get the food out right away. Whereas in an oven, even if it shuts off, the oven stays hot for a while. If you don't get your food out, it's going to dry out or keep cooking. Brava's kind of in between the two. So like the microwave, it's not going to keep cooking or dry out your food. But in a microwave, you're kind of steaming your food from the inside out. So you're never going to get kind of that roasted caramelization, whereas Brava's using actual infrared heat. So you're going to get that kind of quality, but with the kind of speed and convenience factor that you might get from a microwave.
Oh, do you guys want to talk about, Brava today is nearly fully accessible for people that are blind and visually impaired, but there's one caveat to that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I mean there's a handful of things, and what's been great, Sam mentioned when we first started getting his feedback, he was really helpful. There were things like, okay, we focused on trying to get the screen reader support working, but then there's some conflicts between some of the magnification and some of the screen reader support. So work through some of that. Then some of the other things that we run into are some of the diagnostic features that are available on the oven for troubleshooting Wi-Fi issues. There's a lot of kind of inside baseball things, and we're kind of constantly working through improving those. The big one right now that we're working on is that it does require sighted assistance for initial setup, because we didn't plan for this originally, and this kills me, but right now to do the initial connecting the oven up to Wi-Fi and getting it logged in so that your phone can control it, that all happens on the touch screen on the oven. I don't have a solution for that. We're working on that actively right now. We're playing with some new things. That gets into a whole different set of learning experiences, learning how to control Bluetooth settings and Wi-Fi settings and all that kind of stuff in an accessible way. But we're working through all of that right now. As we've gotten more and more users over the past year, we're kind of constantly trying to fix little edge cases and things like that. So, for example, things like how the sound effects behave in relation to controls from the oven, when the button presses happen relative to some of the sound effects. So basically, the big thing is communication and collaboration, right? We're trying to make it easy for our community to submit feature requests and point out bugs and, complain about things or tell us what they like. Because the more feedback and the more we understand different use cases, the more we can kind of tweak things. It's really helpful the more we hear from folks. I can kind of talk about some of the fun things that we're working on too. This isn't out yet, and I don't know when it's going to be out, but we've got it in beta right now, leveraging some of the new AI tools that are out there, so that, like, right now it works with a screen reader, but we're building out chat support so that you can actually have a conversation with it, and talk through, hey, I'm looking to cook some steak. You suggest some recipes, and then it'll just guide you through that way, so that you can have a truly hands-free experience. And I think that can be really fun. And that's actually something that was cool that we heard from one of our users, where she had just naturally gone straight to ChatGPT to ask some questions, right? And so we're working to get that built into the app. That I think will be really exciting. I don't know, Sam, do you have any thoughts or questions or suggestions that we should be adding or updating?
No, like I said, I use it all the time, and it's just a seamless experience thus far. And for anybody that's watching this Site Tech Global and they're curious about what the accessibility is, I'll just kind of give a real brief overview. So through the app, and this is one thing also that I commend you guys on, because generally in the blind and visually impaired community, we focus on basically 3 categories of accessibility. You've got visual enhancements, auditory enhancements, and tactile enhancements. So you guys are utilizing some of all 3 with the Brava, which I absolutely love. So you've got the screen reader support through the app, and through the app, you can do just about everything with the oven, as far as cooking and searching recipes and creating your own custom recipes or custom cooks, as you guys say. And that's great. But for low vision users, the app is very high contrast, especially if you have some of your visual enhancements turned on your phone. Then it's large print, it's high contrast. You guys are using color contrast really well to indicate important things, like, when you're cooking hot dogs and it says, well, how many hot dogs do you want? Whenever you click on it, it changes color to indicate this is the choice you've chosen, which is great. And then the tactile enhancements of the machine itself. The trays have raised indicators of the zones that's important to know for when you're placing your food. Certain food goes on a certain zone, especially if you're having multiple food on one tray, multiple types of food on one tray. You've got to put them in the right zone and make sure they're in the zone. And because you have the raised elements on the tray, that's super easy for somebody without vision. Then you've got the two rows or levels that you can put the trays onto. Once again, super easy to do that just by feel. even putting in the temperature probe or the thermometer. Once again, very easy to do just by touch. So, you know, oh, even the button on the machine itself. Yes, the touch screen, terrible for accessibility. I mentioned that the first thing I've told you
Yeah.
guys
Yep.
whenever you send it to me. But the button that you do to once you send your cook from the app to the Brava, you have to press that physical button to start the cooking. But that's tactile. So all in all, it really done a great job with the accessibility overall, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's kind of interesting. So some of that stuff, like the trays and the physical button, those are things that are kind of happy accidents that we hadn't planned those out from an accessibility standpoint. But I do think it highlights one of the things that I've kind of learned the most from kind of this adventure over the past couple of years is that accessible design is better for everyone, and the more that you think through different users needs and use cases, it's making it a better product for our sighted users, for everybody, the more that you accommodate these kinds of things. And so a lot of the features that we have built out for the screen reader are the favorite features of our existing users who have had the ovens for years. And just taking that kind of mentality into product design in general, I think has been such an important learning for me as like a product person, and as a person, I guess, right? That it's not doing it just for one group. It's making it better for everyone, which I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Universal design. It works.
It does. It does. It does. It's been great to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I personally couldn't have imagined even, 5 years ago thinking that we would be here today and having made Brava more accessible for people with disabilities, much less people that are blind or visually impaired. It was never really part of the roadmap, and we set out, like I said in the beginning, to help people cook at home with more ease and convenience and speed than ever before. But I think when we realized that we were helping people that couldn't cook by traditional means or had challenges cooking with traditional equipment like a regular stove and oven and things like that, when we found that we were making a difference and that people were cooking more at home because we were enabling them to do so, that meant a lot to us as a company and to me personally. And I think we just decided to lean into it because it was the right thing to do. So I'm excited that we're here too. A couple of things, we're about to run out of time, so I wanted to wrap it up, but point out a couple of things. If you guys want to take a deeper dive into Sam's experience with Brava, he has a couple of videos on his YouTube channel, one that specifically highlights the app and another longer one that highlights the oven and some of its functions too. So make sure that you go to The Blind Life and just search for Brava, and those two videos should pop up pretty quickly. It's probably also wise to tell you where you can find Brava. You can go to www.brava.com. We're in the process of actually building out and making our accessibility pages much more robust. So be looking for that in the future. You can also find Brava. We just recently partnered with InnoSearch. So we have a dedicated storefront on InnoSearch if you want to go and look for it there. And it's also at Amazon and WilliamSonoma.com and a few other online retailers. But before we wrap it up, do you guys, Sam or Zach, have any sort of last thoughts to share with the audience before we depart?
Well, I can say that I am very excited to use the Brava to kind of supplement the cooking this Thanksgiving. It's going to make that whole full day of cooking. It's going to speed up a lot of that, and I'm excited to check it out.
It's nice to be able to be cooking when you have something in your regular oven, so that the oven doesn't become the regular oven doesn't become the wall that you have to get through to get everything on the table at the same time.
Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you to the folks at Vista Center, and thank you so much, Sam, for all your help over the last couple of years. It's been great. Really, really appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, huge
pleasure.
thanks to Sam, and a special thanks to the Vista Center, the leadership team, the Site Tech Global Conference. It's really been an honor to be here, and we thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thanks everybody.